Martin returned to Cybertron with Yuanshi Tianjun and Universe Emperor. Along the way, the entire universe is making concessions for them. Many of the noble cosmic gods were able to raise their heads high in front of Martin not long ago, but now it seems that they are already humbled as ants. All of them shuddered, not even daring to lift their heads, feeling Martin's vast terrifying power, and carrying the terrifying record of slaughtering 3 multi-universe gods in one fell swoop, making them frightened. It's horrible, it's amazing. Looking at the 3 figures that crashed across the universe, countless people were shocked. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Collector yelled in amazement, his eyes fiery. He witnessed the rise of miracles with his own eyes. No one could have imagined that the multi-universe god, who is so boring to look at the entire multi-universe, would actually appear in our world. And 3 gods appeared in one breath. Anyway, the zombie disaster was wiped out by this one, and we all survived because of him. Gao Tianjun and the elders of the universe talked in a low voice thoughtfully. This is nothing short of a miracle. From countless impossible probabilities, he actually succumbed to death, rose all the way, and eventually became the noble multi-universe god. Is there anything more legendary than this? There is none left. Throughout the universe, countless people are chanting Martin's name, kneeling down and praying in their hearts, looking forward to the protection of the supreme god. But Martin, obviously didn't care about them. In a bang, the 3 figures returned to Cybertron, triggering a frantic pursuit of the entire planet. Countless joy's roar sounded, and everyone looked enthusiastic. Successful, Cybertron's name resounds like an infinite multi-universe. This is just the beginning. In the future, our names will also be known to countless worlds. Optimus Prime and Megatron were talking, but the 2 of them looked directly at Yuanshi Tianjun in the great universe. They always felt that these 2 big guys should be their own future. Multi-universe god. Just thinking about it makes people feel dazzled. What level and specification should this be? It's hard to imagine. The dragon Nidhogg looked up at the 3 astonishing figures, and then bowed his head in frustration. It's over, the great Niederhogg has no chance to escape again. Niederhogg looked desperate. Since being captured by Martin Cybertron, it has been thinking about finding a way to escape, and being a mount is just a stopgap measure, but now it seems that there is no hope at all. It is a mere magic dragon with a strong level godfather. Can it escape under the supervision of the 3 multi-dimensional level universe? How can there be such an outrageous thing in this world? 3 multi-universe gods appeared in one breath. I have never heard of it. When will the great Niederhogg have everything he wants? Niederhogg's mentality collapsed. Click, click. Do you want to eat? Ganada sat on the side, constantly pulling out bags of snacks, stuffing a lot of them into her mouth, and deliberately picked out a piece of potato chips and handed it to Niederhogg. Niederhogger lay on the ground, turning his file-size eyes like a car, staring at the so-small potato chips, immediately opened his mouth, sucked it in, and swallowed his stomach without chewing. I'm so miserable. Nidhogg wailed. Janata was stunned, staring at this particularly difficult dragon with a shocked face, and said in shock, "How can you eat my potato chips? You gave it to me." "No, you can eat if I give it to you. This is my thing. And you have never eaten these before," saying that these are junk food without any high energy. Janata felt distressed. Hiss, missing a piece of potato chips, I feel that I have lost 100 million calories. It's a big loss. I just meant it. Why did you pick it up? I didn't expect you to be such a dragon. Roar. Niederhogg flicked his tail irritably, roared, and turned his head away. Damn it, on this damn planet, anyone can bully it, and even Janata can provoke it. Outer space. You too, you can continue to sleep in the form of satellites, or explore other universes, it's up to you. Martin looked at the 2 big guys with satisfaction, feeling relieved. Just by looking at it, you can see that there are countless powers of rule circulating in Yuanshi Tianjun and Universe Emperor, and are involved in the deepest foundation of the entire multi-universe. The rule of order and the rule of chaos were assembled on these 2 huge amounts of robots. This is the terrible thing about the multi-universe god. Every existence has the power to subvert the multi-universe, which can directly cause the tremors of the multi-world, not to mention the 2 power gods, Yuanshi Tianjun and Universe Emperor. I stay here, and I can also explore multi-universe with my will. As the god of chaos, after swallowing the Lord of Chaos, I am already an indispensable part of multi-universe and an entity of multi-universe. It is not necessary to go out to explore the infinite world. Yuanshi Tianjun and the great universe spoke, and immediately began an amazing shapeshifting, with countless parts flowing. The 2 giants became 2 planets again, and began to quietly revolve around Cybertron. This terrifying power made Martin more and more satisfied. It deserves to be the two multi-universe gods in the shape-shifting world of King Kong. Martin sighed with emotion. At the level of Yuanshi Tianjun and Universe Great Emperor, they are only under the Supreme One, and are about to reach the end. If you don't count some of the same terrifying shape-shifting diamonds, such as the God of Dimensions, etc., the two of them are already the strongest at the moment. The authority of the system has been opened to me. Under the multi-level universe, there are no secrets for me. I can get everything at will. Then, it is time to create those guys. The first thing to summon is naturally among the 13 apostles, the other 12 apostles except Master Titan. As soon as Martin raised his hand, there was a mysterious power that suddenly came out, and the 12 light curtains suddenly appeared, starting from nothing. In the end, 12 individuals exuding strong power stood in front of Martin. Yuanshi Tianjun created the first shapeshifting King Kong, the leader of the 13 apostles, Xian Juishan. The guardian and balancer of dark power, the dark mirror image of the innate consciousness, later degenerates into the fallen King Kongs, Zheng Tianjun. Guardian of time and space Ying Tianxing, artifact forger, Sai Tianzhao. Smart and lively, one hand created the shapeshifting gear that allows all shapeshifting King Kong to be free. An arrogant ancestor of the Fit Diamond, Jing Tianwei. The eloquent Maximo the Great, the ancestor of Beast King Kong Ruishanshao. The ancestor of Mini King Kong, Wei Tian Xing. Idealist, Impermanence Day, mysterious extract from the sky. Optimus Prime's previous life, 13th day Yuan. There were 12 more level single universes on Cybertron, and that suddenly appeared, and the strong sense of oppression that erupted directly triggered the reaction of this universe rule, passively adjusting and adapting. Soon, this has been noticed by many cosmic gods. 12 more universe gods came out in one breath. Normal operation, if he suddenly summons a bunch of multi-universe gods, I won't be surprised anymore. Many gods did not dare to look directly at Cybertron, they could only close their eyes, silently feeling the oppression from Cybertron. To be honest, this feeling is quite bad. They don't know how much time it took to become the noble cosmic god step by step, but since Martin appeared, they have repeatedly rubbed their self-esteem and arrogance on the ground. Now, even this guy's subordinates have a lot of powerful existence of level single universe. Many gods have become numb to these changes. Anyway, no matter what Martin does, it is always right to exceed their expectations, always revealing weird and powerful wisdom and determination, which cannot be estimated by them. Martin is a guy who constantly breaks common sense. With the passage of time, everything fell into calm. The frenzy caused by Martin in the entire multi-universe suddenly quieted down at this moment, as if all the turbulence had disappeared. But everyone knows that this is just the beginning. Martin's legendary deeds are destined to be known to countless races in countless universes for many years to come. There will be countless troubadours singing all of this. Really an amazing guy. In the infinite multi-universe, a figure wearing a broad coat robe is moving through it. What is surprising is that this figure always emits light particles. Obviously, there is no body, and it only moves in the posture of soul. Using powerful magic power, he constantly shuttles through world after world. Now, she has thoroughly understood everything, and she also knows what happened in the war that almost destroyed the multi-universe not long ago. The new gods rise, the old gods fall. Martin, have you grown to this point? How long is this total? It's really terrible. I thought I was planning to seal this restless earthling into the mirror space. Ancient One wandered in the endless void, and there were countless stars flickering around her body, and the stars were very bright, as if there was endless time passing by her. She stood quietly on a small planet, looking into the distance, her vision surpassed the barriers of the universe, and looked at the endless outside world. She saw that the 5 figures were quickly repairing the entire multi-universe with terrifying power. Quickly repair the countless universes that have been destroyed. Every moment passes, the damaged area is quickly recovering. This is the mighty power of the God of creation. To them, countless universes are just playthings in their hands. The more you swim in the multi-universe, the more Ancient One realizes the vastness of this infinite world and understands its own weakness. She thought of the various battles she had with Martin, and the things Martin said to her when she came to Kamar Taj before her body decayed. You are too narrow. The splendor of this world is beyond your imagination. It's wise to go out more. Martin, what you said is right, this world is indeed very splendid. Ancient One watched quietly, watching this scene close to the creation of the world, with a sense of enlightenment. If this was placed in the past and confined to the earth, she would never have access to these. Communicate with yourself in the parallel universe, talk to the gods, watch the creation of the world. What a brilliant and precious experience. Well, it's time to go back and share the income with Emperor Wyshan. Ancient One thought, and slowly got up. He was about to use powerful magic to travel through time and space and return to the magical world where Emperor Wyshan was. Immediately, Ancient One's movements were interrupted, and the magic was disturbed by a powerful existence, and she was instantly disordered and collapsed. She opened her eyes and her face changed drastically. Who is it? Ancient One screamed, using a series of monitoring magic, covering all nearby time and space. Ha ha ha. Ancient One, I have heard of you. You are the old and very optimistic fellow of Emperor Wyshan. A creepy low laughter sounded, and then, there was a figure exuding a cold and cruel atmosphere, which quickly shuttled from one end of the multi-universe. Even if it was a long time apart, it was accurately located on Ancient One. Multi-universe God. Who is it? Ancient One's heart was shocked. Under this terrible pressure, her soul body was faintly unstable, and she retreated quickly, but unfortunately, she could not get rid of the tracking of a long-planned multi-universe god. Finally, this unknown multi-universe god came. This is a big eyeball full of tentacles. Cthulhu in Marvel. Are you a beholder? Ancient One's heart sank to the bottom completely, and the color of determination appeared in his eyes. The beholder, the multiple-level universe Mephisto, is the #1 enemy of the Trinity Wyshandi. Two chaos gods, like the god Sithorn and the snake god Set, who have great feuds with Emperor Wyshan, are not the #1 enemy of Emperor Wyshan, only beholders are. Yes, it didn't collapse under my sight. You deserve to be the magic apprentice that Emperor Wyshan fancy. Then, are you ready to die? The big eyeballs called beholders cast the cruel gaze full of malice in the past, enough to crush a universe, but Ancient One abruptly held them on. Why did you appear here? Emperor Wei Shandi should have been monitoring you. They won't let you go multi-universe. Ancient One looked solemn. The beholder sneered. Even gods can make mistakes. I only need a moment to get rid of Emperor Wyshan. I am really familiar with the three of them. And this moment is enough for me to kill you. When all the eyes of existence are attracted by the new god, I am here specifically for you. The beholder looked at the soul body in front of him. He will never allow it. There will be another magic genius in this world. How long has it been since this guy named Ancient One has actually been promoted to level single universe? With the blessings and help of Emperor Wyshan, maybe in the distant future, this Ancient One might become a multi-universe god. This is absolutely forbidden. This guy with so high magical ability must die. I have observed you in many parallel universes. None of you have such a high magical talent like you. Ancient One, you are special, so you have to die. The beholder let out a creepy low laugh, and glared at him, with the despair of extinguishing everything. It shrouded and melted the Ancient One in an instant. Where the terrifying coercion spreads, the magic power of Ancient One is completely defeated, and the ablation of the soul body cannot be avoided at all. The gap was too big, and just for an instant, the shadow of the beholder covered everything. Ancient One, dead. A beholder, you bastard. There was a roar of rage mixed with sound, and an illusory influence suddenly walked out of the magical world, and stepped into the field of multi-universe suddenly. Countless magical powers are intertwined in the whole body of this stalwart existence. If you look at the vision of the multi-level universe, you will be shocked to find that even if only a negligible trace of power is leaked from this existence, it is connected to countless. The world is used by many lower beings. Emperor Wyshan, one of the magical sources of the multi-universe, can keep pace with Emperor Wyshan, only Sithorn, the god of black magic. It can be said that the moment when Emperor Wyshan appeared, the entire multi-universe, countless weak beings who derive power from Emperor Wyshan, felt immediately, looking up in horror, but with a blank look of ignorance of what happened. What happened? Emperor Wyshan. How many times the multi-universe restarts? I haven't seen this guy come out and walk around. Only the beholder can really irritate this guy. Many beings stared at Emperor Wei Shan with a look of surprise. And just erasing Ancient One, swallowing a beholder with the soul particles completely, is tantamount to completely erasing the possibility of Ancient One's resurrection. This is the eradication of Ancient One from the multi-universe rule level. You are late, Emperor Wyshan. The guy you were optimistic about was killed by a sneak attack by me. What would you do? Kill me? The beholder laughed horribly, and the big horrible eyeballs stared at Emperor Wei Shan, extremely terrifying. Boom. A super white magic hit, but was defeated by the eye of the beholder. Cthulhu's beholder is inaudible, unspeakable, unseen, unthinkable. He exists there and can distort countless thoughts and wills and collapse countless worlds. Emperor Weixin stepped out, his huge magical body. I don't know how many universes the sum total. This is the body formed by countless magical particles. What is more noteworthy is that on this body, there are 3 light groups standing among them, each exuding 3 different wills. One of the 4 chaos gods, Osit, the god of white magic. The son of Osit, the first-generation supreme magician of multi-universe, Agomoto. Unknown god, Hogs with the appearance of a tiger. These 3 gods gathered together to form the Trinity Waishandi, becoming one of the ultimate magical entities of the entire multi-universe. Now, Emperor Weixin was confronting the beholder, and immediately fought. With the existence of the 2 multi-level universes, at the moment when the 5 creation gods repaired the multi-universe, fierce war broke out. The terrifying magic power swept everything, and countless universes exploded in an instant. Some unlucky gods have not yet reacted. Was wiped out by this terrifying wave. What's wrong? First Martin slaughtered the chaos and order, and then Emperor Weixin and the beholder tore it. Can't it stop? Many gods looked angry. Even the 5 great gods, at the moment, looked weirdly and turned their heads, silently looking at the 2 bloody fellows. Wei Shandi and the beholder are old opponents, and they don't know how many times they have fought each other. Or, let's fix it after the 2 of them are finished. Eternal calmly said. Alright, let's watch them fight first, let's rest. Annihilation agreed. Then the 5 gods stopped and waited patiently for these 2 guys to put out the fire. Anyway, the multi-universe god is very difficult to be killed. It is too difficult and too difficult. It is easy to defeat a multi-universe god, but it is almost impossible to kill it completely. Since the birth of multi-universe, there have not been a few multi-universe gods dead. That's why Martin caused the tremor of the entire multi-universe and attracted the attention of countless gods, not only because he detonated the bloody battle of the 6 multi-universe gods with one hand, but also because he personally led to the permanent demise of the 3 multi-universe gods. Even the concepts have been swallowed, and there is no possibility of resurrection. This war once again triggered the collapse of many worlds. Well, such a powerful magic power. Martin, who was sitting on Cybertron, suddenly raised his eyebrows, got up with a look of surprise, and looked into the distance. His vision surpassed everything, and he saw the 2 fighting figures in a flash. With just a glance, Martin recognized who these 2 guys were. The enemy in the magical realm, Emperor Weixin and the Beholder. Interestingly, this is the first time I have seen other multi-universe gods fighting with my own eyes. Martin sighed in admiration and began to observe the bloody battle with admiration. The aftermath of the spreading waves easily exploded countless universes. Seeing that they were about to spread to Martin's world, I saw Yuanshi Tianjun and the universe great in space exert powerful powers, and the power of order and chaos was enveloped. After all, the terrible aftermath was crushed in an instant, and the entire universe was calmly sheltered. The battle between these 2 existences, accompanied by terrifying magical attainments, wiped out everything, penetrated countless dimensions, and finally ended after a long time. Sure enough, there are no winners and no losers. To be more precise, when Emperor Weixin made an angry shot, he had already lost and the beholder had won. So, it seems Ancient One is dead, otherwise Emperor Weixin wouldn't be so angry. Martin sighed and took a sip of the coffee in his hand. Martin was extremely indifferent to the reality that Ancient One was attacked and killed by the beholder. He didn't care at all and didn't want to pay attention. As early as Ancient One's body was decayed and his soul was exploring multi-universe, he reminded Ancient One not to get too close with Emperor Weixin, because there are some things that she can't bear. I really can't bear it now, it's dead. Martin just shrugged his shoulders, his face expressionless. You die, it doesn't matter. It's a pity that Ancient One had the opportunity to step into a higher realm, but was involved in a higher dispute in advance. Killed, it's really miserable. This is the sorrow of the weak. Martin drank the coffee in his cup. This is the reason for the madness. A voice came, and then, a giant figure descended, and a huge magic vortex surged all over his body. Yuanshi Tianjun and the Great Universe were about to attack and kill this uninvited fellow, but Martin prevented them from losing. At the moment when he was about to touch Cybertron, the giant's shrunken figure immediately turned into countless magical particles, swarmed in Roar's whistle, transformed into a human form again, and appeared in front of Martin sitting upright. It's not a good idea to appear in front of me, maybe I have a lot of thoughts about the 3 of you. Martin put down the cup indifferently, and laughed in a low voice. Emperor Weixin, I am not so easy to come here, even if it's just a magic duplication. Ancient One is dead, you should know. The magic duplication that Wei Shandy cast in front of Martin still has 3 light groups flickering. If you look closely, you can see 3 figures. The one speaking at this moment is Osit, the god of white magic. Well, I watched it from start to finish. It's a pity. She had hoped to go to a higher level. As the best among countless peers, it's a pity that she died halfway. Martin got up, adjusted his tie, and looked at the ancient god in front of him with his hands in his pockets, with a faint smile. I advised her a long time ago, don't trust you too much, let alone get close to you. It's the same for swimming. Multi-universe, she only needs to act on her own, but unfortunately, she did not listen to me. Martin looked sorrowful. She once thought about leaving you on the earth, and then nurturing you into the new earth Asgardian. Agamotto said lightly. Big Tiger Hogs also said solemnly, Ancient One is a very nice guy. But she is dead, do you want to take me to deal with the evil god of Beholder? Martin sneered again and again, showing no respect for the 3 guys in front of him, and he didn't care about the inner thoughts of these 3 guys at all. Wei Shandy's opponent, but Beholder. The eternal magical entity of Emperor Weishan feels headaches and helpless opponents, and the strangeness and craziness of the Beholders, even Emperor Weishan has no solution. The Beholder is the weird guy that Martin doesn't want to touch. It's simple, because this guy is the true Cthulhu. The Beholder in the Marvel system, also known as the Thousands of Horns, is the prototype of the old Dominator in the myth of Cthulhu. Is the true Cthulhu evil god, Marvel officially announced. When thinking of this big eyeball full of tentacles, Martin feels his head hurt. The prototype of this guy is the Eye of Destruction of the old Dominator, Sager. He has a strong malice and bad faith towards all living beings. Hatred. The Beholder can be understood as the peer of Psy-Ager in the Marvel system, and he perfectly possesses all the ability of Psy-Ager, and his brain hurts just thinking about it. Cthulhu's gang of things are extremely chaotic and disorderly, just like a group of strange gods forcibly pieced together, one by one evil. Therefore, even the existence of Wei Shandy, who has such a horrible wisdom beyond specifications, can't help it with chaotic and crazy beholders, and fight. Martin sneered and looked at Emperor Weishan in front of him. He didn't know how far Weishan Emperor's research on beholders had progressed, and he was not interested in sharing information at all, because there was no need at all. The Emperor Weishan is not worth his wasted time. We will deal with Sithorn them for you, Osit replied. Martin laughed suddenly. Don't underestimate Sithorn, he lost to arrogance last time, not to you. Hogs couldn't help but said solemnly. The arrogance was originally under me. Anyway, Sithorn lost and was defeated by me. Martin dismissed. Hogs was frustrated. Agamotto smiled bitterly. Sithorn has never only represented himself, but also the snake god set. These 2 guys are followed by many second-generation gods. Martin, get our friendship and wipe out our eyes. Demon, we will also help you deal with Sithorn and Set. Trust me, you wouldn't think of how terrifying it is to face half of the second-generation god system. Martin fixedly looked at Emperor Weishan. Among the second-generation gods of the ancient world tree, the most outstanding are the 4 chaos gods, but there are also many other gods. The snake god Set, the snake that devours the world. Martin thoughtfully. Back then, it was Set, a greedy and innocent guy, who suddenly discovered a way to quickly increase his strength to devour other second-generation gods. This guy secretly swallowed many gods and his strength skyrocketed. Soon, the underworld god Sithorn also joined in and started hunting other second-generation gods. Then Gia and Osit, etc., developed a powerful war weapon, gathered the power of the gods, maimed the factions of Set and Sithorn, and invested all the power they obtained to nurture Odin and other 3 generations. God. This is the true reason that the glorious era of the second generation of gods ended at that time. It originated from the Civil War and from greed. Wei Shandy thought that this is top-secret information in the multi-universe, and for Martin, it is not worth mentioning. Why me? I'm just a new god, you obviously have a better choice. Martin said lightly. There was indeed a better choice before, but since you appeared and defeated Sithorn and let your subordinates swallow the Lord of Chaos, you are the best choice. You know we are waiting for the Lord of Order. How long did it take for the birth of the Lord of Chaos and Chaos? They are the most suitable candidates to deal with the beholders, resisting disorder and chaos with disorder and chaos, and then order and balance to besiege. Osit turned his gaze over Martin and directly looked at the 2 huge amounts of satellites in outer space. It seems a bit jealous. She is really jealous. Martin occupied the Lord of Order and the Lord of Chaos at the same time, and still swallowed the old, new order and new chaos that became more terrifying and powerful. Just feeling the heavy aura from these two beings, Osset felt a burst of pressure. They have stood at the pinnacle of the multiple-level universe. Osset sighed inwardly. The existence of the three Emperor Wyshan and Martin communicated for a long time. After a long time, the magic duplication of the Emperor Wyshan left Cybertron and turned into a streamer to fly to the Earth. This cooperation is very beneficial to Emperor Wyshan, because all his enemies have to deal with, but it is not so friendly to me, but it is still profitable. Martin sat on the chair, fingers crossed, thoughtful. Beholder, Sithorn, Dorset. Martin frowned, then chuckled in a low voice, and made himself a cup of coffee again. What the future will be like, whoever stepped on someone's corpse and climbed to a higher position, even a god cannot control this. Earth. Kamar Taj. Stephen was gaunt a lot, and there were a lot of white hair in his hair. He looked at the terrible condition of the whole Earth and sighed deeply. The whole Earth was dead and silent, and was eaten up by those damn zombies, and the surviving population was only a few thousand, and the remaining superhero were very few. All the zombies were promoted to Martin of the multi-universe god, and they were wiped out with one blow. Naturally, the infected guys like Tony were also killed by Martin. Stephen felt lonely. Even if he used time magic to venture out and revive Deadman, the ghost knew how long it would take. What makes Stephen more headache? There is no death in this universe. Even if you use time magic, it's useless. An existence exuding magic particles all over, Emperor Wyshan descended to the earth and said. Emperor Wyshan looked at the supreme magician Stephen in front of him, and said lightly, "The death of this universe was killed by Martin. The concept of life and death has disappeared, and those dead souls are controlled by death, and they are also erased by Martin. So, no need to study time magic, there is no death, time has no meaning." Stephen looked stiffly at the stalwart existence in front of him, almost suffocating. "Oh, you are Emperor Wyshan." Stephen looked moved and shocked. He could clearly feel the restlessness of his own magic power, as if he had encountered the source, producing an instinctive roar response. "Stephen Strange, Ancient One is dead, a terrible disaster is about to come to your world, and you will become the other party's focus." Emperor Wei Shandy's voice was cold, and he looked down at the heir chosen by Ancient One with an indifferent expression. "How should I put it? This Stephen, it seems, there is nothing special about it, too ordinary, compared with the countless parallel universes Stephen, it can only be regarded as good, far not as good and outstanding as the Ancient One of this universe. This is also impossible. Who is our opponent?" Stephen said solemnly. "The evil god of multi-universe different dimensions, you can't praise its real name, and you can't think about its shape," Emperor Wei Shan said. "In multi-universe." Turning around, looking at the universe ahead, he looked a little bit hesitant. There was the world of Ancient One who was killed by him, and it was also the base camp of the new gods, and it was very risky to break in. This new god is too weird. Before I figure out the details of this guy, there is no need to provoke. The beholder's tentacles squirmed, his eyes were cold, and he looked straight ahead. Even so, many nearby universes did not consciously produce terrifying distortions. This is his ability. Even if everything in the world touches him a little bit, no matter what kind of information it is, it will produce horrible distortions. The beholder repeatedly chanted the name of Emperor Wyshan, sneered, and planned to leave. But in the next moment, he was stunned immediately, and the huge amounts of one eye showed weirdness and surprise. Call. In the next moment, one of his power duplications will immediately descend on the earth and attach to Stephen. "Stupid human beings, what do you want to get from me, great beholder?" The beholder occupies Stephen's body, with a ferocious and tyrannical face. In an instant, Stephen's body gene began to mutate, and was affected by the indescribable power of the beholder. From time to time, sarcoma grew, and new organs were sometimes twisted. The deformed monster evolves. Stephen felt the horrible existence that had crossed countless times and space, and the horror mutation that broke out all the time, and after taking a deep breath, he slowly dissipated the magic circle. "Great beholder, I hope you can revive my teacher Ancient One," Stephen said solemnly. The beholder smiled horribly. "Is this the method that Emperor Wyshan taught you? Or is your brain broken and you actually made this request to me? You killed my teacher, and now it's up to you to resurrect her. It's fair." There were fine beads of sweat on Stephen's forehead. The beholder laughed strangely, manipulating Stephen's body to constantly look around, sneered. He had already noticed the traces of the magic duplication of Emperor Wyshan. For his existence, as long as he has appeared, there will never be a secret. It will inevitably leave traces. "Well, Emperor Wyshan couldn't realize your wish, so you would rather ask for my help. What a crazy guy, you are as crazy as Ancient One." The beholder chuckled in a low voice, looking very happy, constantly flipping through Stephen's memory, watching the negotiations and appeals between Stephen and Wyshandi duplication. The more I look at it, the more excited the beholder becomes, with constant laughter, and he is very satisfied with Stephen. Very well. As long as you betray Emperor Wyshan and take refuge in me, I can quickly let you have the power of level single universe and become a noble cosmic god. I am different from the cold and despicable fellow of Emperor Wyshan, it's worth my effort. The beholder praised. Stephen said solemnly, I want to have power now, I want to have your power. The beholder thought for a while, and separated out a level single universe volume, which is not worth mentioning to him. The infinite energy index never cares about the loss of such a small amount. Even if the coordinates of Stephen's location are locked, there will be the indescribable power comes. This time, there is no magic circle anymore, but the beholder directly transmits the power of horror and distortion. Wherever it passes, it pollutes everything, distorts everything, and it is countless times more terrifying than the zombie virus. But the next moment, just when Stephen was about to be distorted into another species by malicious beholders, in an instant, a biting cold light struck. Go away. I don't intend to occupy this place, just respond to the call of believers. The beholder's face sank, and he let out a low growl. The magnificent voice resounded throughout the universe, and the few beings immediately began to scream. Advent duplication is to respond to the call, and to release the power of a single universe. Is the call not successful? The beholder, you are a serious provocation to me to enter and leave my world without my permission, you damn it. Martin sneered again and again, his eyes flashed with cold light, and he slammed into the earth in a sudden, as if he had been preparing for a long time. In an instant, the beholder understood. Damn new god, you did it on purpose. The beholder awakened and immediately grinned. To be honest, he was not afraid of Martin at all, but there was no need to offend him deliberately, but since Martin took the initiative to seek death, he would not be afraid. He is an indescribable evil god, but he has never feared any god. Martin's figure descended to the earth in a sudden, his eyes flickered, and he fell straight on Stephen, and stared at the beholder. The beholder thought Martin came for him, but in fact, Martin's goal was never the beholder originally. Even if he cooperates with Emperor Wyshan, it is just a stopgap measure. He has more important goals. I have always been interested in the Cthulhu system. Unspeakable things, especially the guy in front of me, are a product of marvelization and are of great research value. More importantly, behind this guy, but there is an entire Cthulhu group. Martin looked at the beholder, and there was already a deep greed in his eyes. The beholder is only incidental. The Cthulhu tribe behind him and the world in which this tribe is located are Martin's real goals. That, a special world named Cancer Universe, a universe with self-awareness and life, full of chaotic thoughts and wills, is one of the most valuable universes in the entire Marvel multi-universe. This is what really attracts Martin. Factory. The cancerous universe, just like its name, is a cancer universe. In order to survive and continue life, this universe has given birth to a vague self-consciousness, frantically attacking and devouring other normal universes to continue one's life. Because of the outbreak of cancer, the life conceived in the cancerous universe will naturally be different. It is also a group of cancerous creatures full of madness and deformity, full of chaos, madness, and disorder, and they are born with terrifying indispensability. The name is full of instinctive malice towards everything in the outside world. And these indescribable creatures born in the cancerous universe are the Cthulhu evil god in the Marvel system, and the leader is the beholder. The cancerous universe, Martin is bound to win. Martin looked at the beholder duplication's gaze, and with a greed, he grabbed it. Martin, don't think you killed chaos and order. All the gods in the entire multi-universe are afraid of you. If you rashly become an enemy of me, you will regret it. The beholder controlled Stephen's body and whispered horribly. But in the next moment, Martin's will suddenly came, and it rushed over in a sudden. Martin himself grabbed Stephen's neck and stared at him. What makes the beholder a little bewildered is that Martin looked at him with a longing. Eager? This dog thief really has a conspiracy. The beholder was about to speak. Suddenly, a huge will mixed with endless coercion passed through Stephen's body in a flash, and caught his duplication in a crash. The beholder, when you invaded my world, you are declaring war on me. You have to pay the price, Martin said with a majestic expression. Before the beholder cursed, Martin strangled him to death. At the moment when this duplication dissipated, a force that distorted everything suddenly broke out. The so-called indescribable things are born with the characteristics of corroding everything, chaotic and disorderly. Martin touched his chin and watched this scene intently. In a short period of time, he quickly analyzed the existence of this beholder duplication, and he had a preliminary understanding of Marvel Cthulhu. Super corrosive. Through his transmission of power just now, I have roughly positioned the base camp of the beholder to transform the universe into cancer. Let's act. Many magic particles gathered into a figure, and Emperor Wei Shan said lightly. Yes, I am very interested in beholders, Martin said. At this time, Stephen, who had regained control of his body, fell to the ground feebly, covered with various tumors and other abnormalities, as if he had suffered terrible nuclear radiation. Emperor Wei Shandy looked down at Stephen, and the three consciousnesses shot at the same time. He would heal Stephen and expel the power of the beholder. Wait. Leave Stephen to me, I have other uses. Martin stopped Wei Shandy. Emperor Wei Shan paused, and said indifferently, then whatever you want, remember to cure him. Martin looked at Stephen, who was struggling with great interest, feeling the terrible distortion of the other person's body, soul, and spirit. After groaning for a moment, he slapped it directly, locking Stephen's current state to death. Leave it on the earth first. The two horrible existences disappeared in the same place. At the same time, Yuan Shi Tianjun and Universe Emperor also began to act. The power of order and chaos burst out, turning into two streams of light, and instantly submerged into the depths of the multi-universe. Cancerous universe. In the entire multi-universe, the unique and special universe, at the moment, is constantly moving among the diversity. Just looking at it from a distance, you can feel the greed and crazy will that continue to grow in this universe. The cancerous universe is always on the way of devouring and destroying, and by colliding with other universes, and then destroying and swallowing other universes, it can extend its lifespan. Boom. Several violent tentacles suddenly erupted, directly piercing the entire cancerous universe. With bursts of roars, terrifying distorted powers erupted, once again carrying out the crazy brilliance and destruction of this deformed and mutated universe rule. The few rules that inadvertently collapsed and spread to other universes could infect an entire universe and quickly decay. Emperor Weishan. Martin. Damn it. The beholder rage flicked his tentacles, furious. Around, countless strange-looking Cthulhus were hiding far away, watching their leaders in anger with fear. From time to time, some unlucky ones were affected, and they were wiped out by angry beholders on the spot. There is a reason for the beholder's anger. Emperor Weishan is against him. The damn new god actually obliterated him a duplication regardless, and didn't care about him, the ancient god that made the entire multi-universe fear. These bastards are going to die, the beholder roared. Boom. Four huge bodies suddenly appeared, there was a loud noise, endless rule power flowed, and a steady stream of violent powers bombarded the past, and the entire cancerous universe suddenly began to tremble violently. I heard you want to die. Martin took the other three figures and crossed over half of the multi-universe. According to the positioning magic of Emperor Weishan, he directly locked the cancerous universe that seemed normal, but in fact exuded turmoil and chaos. Immediately after a punch, the entire cancerous universe was bombarded and sunk into one piece, and this large piece of time and space was extinguished on the spot into nothingness and was directly destroyed by Martin. The four figures exuding powerful fluctuations have all descended into this mysterious world at this moment. Martin, Emperor Weishan, Yuan Shi Tianjun, Emperor of the Universe. The raid of the four multiple-level universes gave this crazy and distorted world a sudden stop. The will of the universe in the underworld began to be disordered, affected by the force field held by the four horror beings themselves, and roared in pain, revealing a deep fear and panic. Countless strange-shaped Cthulhus screamed loudly one by one, speaking all kinds of weird languages, screaming and running around. This is the cancerous universe, the base camp of the Cthulhus. Point 25. Martin tore through the gap, and at a glance, he included the overview of the entire cancerous universe, looking at the weird shapes and the more weird ones. Creature, thoughtful. What is Cthulhu? The three light balls on Weishandi turned his head to look at Martin at the same time. Cthulhu is my collective name for this indescribable creature, Martin said lightly. Emperor Wei Shan nodded, without delving into it. The beholder. I heard the words you want to die at the other end of the multi-universe, so I came here specially to send you to die. Rest assured, you will die completely, and you will not even have a chance to meet death. Martin sneered and looked down at the beholder that covered half of the cancerous universe. Emperor Wei Shan also said indifferently, the beholder, over the long years, you have committed countless crimes against the entire multi-universe. The hundreds of millions of worlds have permanently collapsed due to your own distortion and madness, and there is no chance of recovery. Don't talk such nonsense. The world you destroy is no less than mine. The beholders viciously stared at the four multi-universe gods in front of him, showing deep fear and anger. At the moment, he rudely planned the words of Emperor Wei Shan, and in his anger, a huge amounts of the tentacles had already been thrown away, and slammed into the four of them in a sudden. The war broke out. The four Martin directly attacked the killer and fought against the most powerful Cthulhu evil god. A wave of horror erupted. In the rapid spread, it caused even more terrible damage to the cancerous universe. What surprised Martin even more was that this severely traumatized cancerous universe, after suffering terrible damage, roared and moved frantically, quickly rushed to the nearby universe, and then swallowed it directly to repair its own damage. This process has been going on all the time. The cancerous universe has become crazier than ever before, constantly devouring the healthy world for one's own life. Interesting, I want this world. Martin drew out the star sword and slashed at the beholder. Boom. A huge tentacle shook over, with an indescribable and strange power, trying to twist the blow, but a blue light that tore through countless worlds suddenly burst out from the star sword, forcibly tore away the twist of this strange power. Interference, in a crash, cut off this tentacle. The beholder let out a howl of pain. Yuan Shi Tianjun, the emperor of the universe, deal with him with the power of order and chaos. This is what you are best at. Martin ordered. Yuan Shi Tianjun and the great universe immediately moved swiftly from left to right, and slammed into the beholder. Their sturdy arms stretched out and pointed directly at the power of the multi-universe core, the power of order and the power of chaos. They used all of them at this moment. The two top gods in the multi-level universe made their full effort, and in just an instant, they caused terrible damage to the beholder. Cthulhu's indescribable chaos was first greatly offset by the same chaotic power by the great universe, and then Yuan Shi Tianjun crushed it with a powerful order force, causing terrible damage to this disorderly evil god. This kind of damage is even more terrifying than the damage made by Martin. You bastards, I am an immortal evil god, and I will never die. There is no god in this world that can really kill me, even you. The beholder was besieged by the four gods one after another, and fell into a dilemma in an instant. He is indeed very powerful and has been able to confront Emperor Wei Shan for a long time, but none of the four powerful enemies faced by at the moment are weaker than him. The frightening figure flashed, and every moment, it heralded the rebirth and destruction of billions of universes. The confrontation of the five multi-universe gods once again brought terrible damage to the vast multi-universe. More importantly, this time, the strange power of the beholder was finally severely drained under the constant attack of Martin, Yuan Shi Tianjun, and the Emperor of the Universe. His big eyeball was also full of scars, and his tentacles were brutally cut off. Very messy. Scars are densely covered. You can't kill me, no one can kill me, I am the greatest miracle in multi-universe. The beholder roared again and tried his best to resist, but there was no chance to escape. I never cared if you could die, beholder. No, you should be called Shuma Glass by your real name. You will die. Martin showed a weird look. How do you know my real name? The beholder was shocked, but the big eyes stared at Martin, full of horror. His real name is unknown. Martin just sneered, constantly weakening this big eyeball with his hands, making it weaker and weaker with his own hands, the kind of concentration, as if he was creating a delicious delicacy with his own hands. In the original book, the beholder is a very persistent guy. He invaded the Earth time and time again, and was repelled by Avengers and X-Men again and again. He couldn't be killed no matter how to fight, and he was repeatedly banished to the multi-universe, and never again. There is no news. And now, Martin will not give the beholder any chance to escape and make a comeback. He stares straight at the big eyeball in front of him, already wondering how to concoct this trophy. Martin, I will use powerful magic to seal the beholder, so that he will never have a chance to recover. He can only be forgotten in his endless sleep and die. Emperor Wei Shan took a deep look at Martin, did not ask too much why Martin knew so much about beholders, but spoke indifferently. The beholder was furious, and a terrifying cold light burst into his eyes, directly blasting at Emperor Wei Shan. Emperor Wei Shan immediately threw out a powerful white magic, interrupting this strange gaze. The beholder is an indescribable evil god of different dimensions circulating in countless worlds. From the level, it is countless times stronger than the different dimension evil god of Dormammu, and it is also countless times more terrifying. It is the ultimate fear and fantasy originally, as long as someone chants him. He will surely be reborn in the distant unknown. And Emperor Wei Shan, at the moment intends to permanently seal the beholder to the unknown, allowing an infinite long time to completely wipe out the beholder, and let the existence of the entire multi-universe forget him. This is also the move that makes beholders feel angry the most. No, I have a better way. Martin left a terrible scar on the beholder's huge pupil, and an invisible liquid like blood poured out, contaminating everything. Emperor Weishan frowned and said, "You have to think clearly. This guy is different from the kind of god you understand. Even if it's me, I can't really understand and interpret this guy." Martin smiled. In the Marvel multi-universe, the Cthulhu evil god, if you can be understood by the same level of you, the beholder is not worthy to be called Cthulhu. This guy is indescribable, inaudible, invisible, inaudible, unthinkable, otherwise it will be contaminated, causing distortion and deformity. At least super universe level or even almighty universe level is necessary to truly be qualified to truly dissect the beholder, and thoroughly understand the power of this kind of weird song pollution, but it is really necessary to reach the super level and the almighty level, and completely no need for the power of the beholder. In addition, there is another way. It is also the method Martin is going to take. Although it is a bit crude and crazy, but a comprehensive assessment of the entire process, there is a high probability that there will be no problems. At the moment when the monsters in the entire cancerous universe were extinct on a large scale, Martin took a direct step forward, and the whole person rushed to the weak beholder. Under the madness of the opponent, he sneered and said, "Yuan Shi Tianjun, the emperor of the universe, give I control this guy, and everything about this guy soon belongs to me." Rumble. The two giants shot directly, firmly grasping the huge beholder, fighting their own order and chaos rule, pulling the foundation power of the entire multi-universe, obtaining the source of constantly powerful power, and firmly restraining the beholder in place. "What do you want to do?" Emperor Weishan looked at Martin in amazement. Martin came to his pupils and laughed in a low voice. "Glass, you say you can't die, I believe it, but what people like me like the most is your antecedent, so that it can bring me the greatest gain. Become a part of me." Hum. With a soft sound, the next moment, a large number of chains stretched out from Martin, piercing the strange body of the beholder in a sudden, and immediately entangled, layer by layer, little by little, dragging the beholder crazily into it. "In your own body." The beholder screamed frantically, struggling desperately, but the smile on Martin's face became more frantic, and he was eventually dragged into Martin's body. This Marvel Cthulhu god has always swallowed countless universes and gods, but at the moment, Martin finally swallowed it. This. What is this? Can it be like this? Emperor Wei Shan stared at this scene dumbfounded. Swallowed the beholder directly. Emperor Weishan dare not even think of this kind of crazy behavior, because in terms of swallowing, it is the domain that the beholder is best at. His inherently strange and indescribable nature is that it strongly corrodes everything in the outside world. But the beholder was actually swallowed by Martin. "How do you feel?" Wei Shandi lowered his head, and this huge magical real body also showed a dazed expression. "It feels pretty good. How good it is. I still need to study this guy. In addition, this cancerous universe and the various life forms in it, I also accepted it, and I am very interested in them." Martin laughed in a low voice. Emperor Weishan looked at Martin repeatedly, his eyes were full of weirdness and jealousy, and he was dumbfounded. "This guy has always used this method to grow rapidly? Crazy devouring?" Hogs whispered. "It should be like this." Martin was able to cross the terrible gap in one fell swoop and become a multi-universe god by swallowing Phoenix Force. Agomoto smiled bitterly. "Be careful. Don't get too close until you know the details of Martin ability. Maybe you will be swallowed by this guy one day." Osset was more serious. He lived the longest, but it was the first time. Encounter the existence of this weird guy who can devour the beholder. The information revealed in it was too terrifying, and it made Osset shudder. Can even a god swallow it? Emperor Weishan looked at Martin, especially his perception that Martin didn't seem to be backlashed after swallowing the beholder. After suppressing everything about the beholder, he was completely silent. After a long time, Emperor Wei Shan said, "When you do something with Sithorn and set in the future, you can come to me." Immediately turned around, hesitation, and reminded, "Be careful, don't be bitten by the beholder, this guy is very special. I don't want to fight with you who have become a new beholder in the near future." As soon as the words fell, Emperor Weishan left immediately, and the entire huge magical real body disappeared in place in an instant, returning to the mysterious magical world. Martin stared quietly, watching him leave. "Supreme Creator, how do you feel now?" Yuan Shi Tianjun said solemnly. The Universe Great also grinned. "If you can't hold it anymore, you can hand over the beholder to me and take charge of the chaotic me. Maybe it's a good fit with ghosts." The two of them, it is impossible to say that they are not curious about the beholder, but it is clear that Martin will not release the evil god until the beholder is completely digested. In Martin's body, it was actually not calm, with terrible power and weird erupting, but they were all suppressed by the horse ding. Asshole. Asshole. You asshole dare to swallow me. You dare to swallow me. You were looking for death. Sooner or later I will swallow you back and turn everything about you into mine. The beholder was struggling frantically, and his wide-eyed eyes were bloodshot, terrifying gazes cast out, constantly distorting everything, but still unable to break free from the endless chains on his body. This made the beholders startled and angry, staring at the weird cube that seemed to have countless worlds with round eyes. This is the source of your famous artifact. Sooner or later I will smash this ghost. The beholder yelled and looked over, trying to twist this artifact, but the source of the fire was as steady as a rock, unaffected by him. Give up. I have tried countless times, and I still can't get rid of the shackles of the fire source. Phoenix Force waved its wings and spoke faintly. The beholder gave this guy a vicious look. As the original force of the multi-universe, are you willing to endure being exploited and plundered by this guy? The beholder could tell at a glance that the state of the phoenix in front of him was also imprisoned, but the bondage suffered was much better than him. It's useless. Phoenix Force was very calm, and said lightly, it can be confirmed that the upper limit of this fire source is the end of the multi-level universe. If you want to truly break this constraint, you must have the ability to surpass the multi-level universe. Ability. But with this level and specifications, it would not be swallowed from the beginning. Then the two of us will join hands and give the source of fire to the shards, the demon said coldly. Phoenix Force glanced at him contemptuously. You are too weak. Together, you and I can't reach the level of the super universe. It's useless. It's better to be quiet and wait for a turnaround. The beholder was unwilling and struggling, but the more he struggled, he was shocked to find that he was drawn away by the source of fire more power. What's more terrifying is that the source of fire was clearly absorbing him and the phoenix power, while constantly weakening them, as constantly strengthening itself. This artifact is just like alive. The beholder showed an unbelievable look. Finally found it. Resist less, and hold on for longer, so that the fire source will consume less power. If my estimation is correct, when the existence of the multi-level universe is pulled in next time, if the three work together, you can break this prison and kill it directly. Phoenix Force said. The beholder's eyes were full of bloodshot eyes, and he was silent for a long time, and finally fell silent, enduring the continuous deprivation of him by the fire source, and his power characteristics were also taken away and analyzed. This feeling was so suffocated, it made the beholders mad with hatred. Cthulhu in the Marvel world, so that's how it feels. Martin groaned, constantly devouring and digesting the power he got from the beholder, thinking, and gradually, as long as he wanted, he could use some indescribable powers, terrifying and unreasonable twisting powers to corrode everything. He suppressed this peculiar power, and the next moment, he directly looked at this devastated universe, the cancerous universe. This world should become my universe. I need to create a unique, shape-shifting King Kong universe. To transform this special, unique cancerous universe into a shape-shifting King Kong universe, this is what Martin will do, and it is also the reason why he captured this special world. As for these Cthulhus, Martin swept his gaze, looking at these strange and weird creatures, facing those terrifying gazes. After hesitating for a while, he did not directly exterminate these things. I have swallowed the beholder, and I am constantly absorbing the power characteristics of the beholder. These Cthulhus may be useful when. Forget it, I swallow them all. Martin shook his head and slowly opened his arms. In an instant, a terrifying coercion swept across the entire cancerous universe. Numerous chains rushed out of Martin's body, accurately hunting down this one. Su Lu, amidst the screams, grabbed all these things back and swallowed them directly into his body. Soon, the entire cancerous universe was swept away by Martin, and Martin showed a satisfied look. The Cthulhu system is an extremely rare thing in Marvel multi-universe. It is sealed up first, and it may be used any day. What about this cancerous universe? I can feel that this whole world is exuding endless madness. This world is already crazy. Yuan Shi Tianjun said solemnly. It's very simple, destroy the original will of this world, and then replace it with the will we want. Replace this cosmic will with the magic orb, and become a brand new coordinator, the core. We, too, should have a world of our own, otherwise we will always stay on a planet, which is too limited, a little too big. Martin smiled faintly. As a powerful force with 3 diversified level universes, how can it be possible to stay on a planet in a remote universe forever? Definitely is suitable for occupying an entire universe. The cancerous universe does not know how many healthy worlds it has swallowed, so that its volume has expanded to an exaggerated level, thousands of times the file size of the normal universe. It is enough. Martin slowly stretched out his hand and grabbed at the void. In an instant, the entire cancerous universe immediately uttered a scream, and the pan-cosmic will was howling, which was wiped out by Martin little by little. Boom. In the next instant, a huge amounts of space-time vortex opened, directly across the long multi-universe region, and arrived here. Cybertron was pulled over by Martin directly, and pulled over a planet with his bare hands. It was a simple matter. But this change shocked the surviving universe gods in the original universe. They just glanced at it and immediately knew what had happened. This evil star, has he finally left? I'm still thinking about when he can endure until he is willing to leave. Now he has finally acted. As a noble cosmic god, how can he be tied to a single planet in the universe? Wait. How do I feel that our world is distorting? No, it's still being pulled. What Martin wants to do, doesn't even our universe want to let it go. Rumbling. This universe was also torn over by Martin and fed to the cancerous universe, turning it into a part of the cancerous universe. As for the few remaining beings after suffering the zombie disaster, they are naturally the residents of this new universe. However, my universe is, in principle, the shape-shifting King Kong universe. You ghosts with ghosts, you can't let you act at will. Martin sneered at the corner of his mouth, looking at the familiar cosmic god. Martin, we have never offended you, we are willing to work for you, Collector exclaimed, with a look of horror on his face. He doesn't have any spine. It's best to survive. Moreover, even if you are the elder of the universe, it is a foolish thing to talk to a multi-universe god like Martin. Very good, but now, I need you to have a fresh start. Martin sneered in a low voice and directly summoned the impermanence of one of the 13 apostles. My Lord Creator, I am willing to serve you. The impermanence, an idealist and perfectionist, gracefully saluted Martin. Impermanence, use your exclusive artifact, Ember Stone, to modify all these noble cosmic gods into shapeshifting diamonds. Martin ordered. As soon as Impermanence's eyes lit up, he immediately took out a peculiar weapon, and immediately began to correct the basic elements of the living body. Wherever the light shines, these cosmic gods are all corrected by this force, moving towards the shapeshifting King Kong. The look transforms. As for the cosmic entity gods who are in charge of the rule, they have no value. Martin's gaze swept away, and in an instant, along with the rule gods such as eternity and annihilation, Martin was directly erased from the world on the spot. The new world, shapeshifting King Kong universe, does not need these old guys in charge of the rule at all. There was another loud noise, and Impermanence Tien had already corrected the existence of the Cosmic Presbyterian Church and others into shapeshifting King Kong. This is, all the gods were stunned at once, especially the flesh and blood of the Cosmic Presbyterian Church, who watched their own little changes. At this moment, all the flesh and blood that had been tempered by the Ember Stone was transformed into a metal body. Although shocked in their hearts, they can only bite the bullet and accept, they are not qualified to refuse. And under Martin's shot, the magic orb of power located in the core of Cybertron has already begun to calculate frantically at this moment, taking control of this huge universe, countless computing power flowing, and coordinating everything. At this point, a whole new world was born. Shapeshifting King Kong universe. Success. The new rules are condensed, and under the control of the terrifying computer, the magic ball, everything is replaced, and a new world is rising. Let's come to. Yuan Shi Tianjun and the Great Universe also took action at this moment, and immediately burst out with powerful forces. With the rule of order and chaos, they sat on the two poles of the rule of the new world, and once again used the terrifying ability to consolidate and stabilize the new world. At this point, with a terrible roar, the world of shapeshifting King Kong has completely stabilized. At the moment of forming, the profound power burst out, and it has long been silently seen by the multi-universe gods who are watching the whole process. Another world destined to be multi-universe for countless years was born. Many ancient gods sighed and watched this scene silently. It can be said that the emergence of this situation is inevitable. Even multi-universe gods need their own habitat and base camp. For example, Emperor Weishan has a mysterious magical world as his residence. And now Martin has it too. Shapeshifting King Kong universe.